And before we proceed, Mr. Morris, you have your hand raised. So do you have a question?
Yeah, I just started the recording. I was going to ask when you wanted me to start it, but I just started it right now since um, you called the meeting at 6:07. So
Okay.
recording's in progress.
Okay. I thank you, Ado Yahat. So with that being said, we do have another board member that just chimed in. So if you are in attendance to this Google Meet, we ask that you sign in to our chat for attendance purpose. And then, as to my understanding, before we go any further, I was informed that any Google call or Zoom call that we do for an official meeting, that we do turn our camera on. So we know that who we'll see who's all here, even though you have your name written on your your Google Meet video. So if I just may ask if you could turn on your video. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and proceed. Um, one thing I wanted to read before we begin the meeting is I know that there was some confusion from last week as far as if we were going to have a meeting, but I know the meeting that we had before was um, we kind of it was very unstructured, so we just kind of looked at some dates as far as our next meeting, and we overlook our meeting dates. So if you have your agenda handy, or if someone could share the agenda, on there it indicates that Dream Dinet Charter Schools Governing Council meets once per month on the fourth Monday at 6 p.m. So the governing council and employees of the Dream Dinet Charter School shall meet via Zoom meeting platform or Google Meet. Members of the public who wish to access this open meeting may do so by emailing Dream Dinet or Miss Nadine to request a link to the Zoom meeting. So the fourth Monday actually falls on the 28th of October. So just for some clarity, but I know that there was some confusion, and we kind of indicated the 21st from the previous meeting. So Yaha, I just wanted to just I wanted to read the information that's on our agenda, and then also we do require that we post the agenda at least 48 hours prior to our meeting. So the agenda was posted on Friday. So with that being said, um, I just wanted to go over the meeting requirement. So as we go down, we have the agenda, and I guess we'll go like again. I'll go ahead and call to meeting the order at 6:07. If I may ask our secretary to do the roll call, Miss Donna.
Okay, can you hear me?
Oh,
Can anybody hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Great. Okay, roll call. Ms. Veronica So, President.
Mrs. So's present.
Danelia Allen, Vice President.
Oh, I'm here. I have poor signal. I'm on the res. So if I turn my camera off, my bars are gonna go down. So, but I'm present.
Great, thank you. Donna Fernandez, Secretary, present. Virginia Kirk, member.
Present.
Talaba Begay, member. And I'm looking. Okay, so we'll mark that down as not present. With 4 members out of the 5 present, we do have a quorum established. We'll go down to staff. Ms. Chatto, Head Administrator.
Yes, I'm present. Thank you.
Miss Archuleta, financial manager. And we just got a chat. She's in the chat, says Charlotte is present. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Donna. We'll go ahead and move down to the next item on the agenda. We have under C, guests, and I believe we do have a couple of guest members. Well, we have staff, and then we also have, I guess, Mr. Kirby. I'm trying to figure this thing out here. Okay, so I believe we do have one guest on the call, and then we also have staff personnel. So if you could just briefly introduce yourself, Mr. Johnson.
Oh, hello. Kate. I'm Kirby Johnson. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, I have Mr. Johnson. Otto. We also have three staff. If you want to introduce yourself as well.
Andrea, go ahead.
I'll
Or
go ahead.
Mr. Morris.
I'll go ahead. I'm Lander Morse, IT and Community Development Coordinator. Good evening.
Andrea. You're on mute, Andrea.
Good evening, Andrea Thomas, the 2nd through 5th grade teacher and the reading interventionist. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. And Charlotta? Or Charlotte?
Madam Chair, Charlotte is having trouble with her mic.
Okay. All right. Well, she is on the call as well, but I guess she's having some difficulty with her internet service. So we'll go ahead and move forward. And thank you for all being present. Ado, we'll go down to the next item under 3. We have mission, vision statement, student voice. Do I have? May I get one of the staff to read the mission and vision statement?
I can read it.
Thank you, Ms.
Dream Diné Charter Schools Governing Council. Dream Diné is a place-based elementary school where the Diné Navajo culture, language, and history are the foundation of an experiential curriculum. Through a dual language program, we will nurture strong, compassionate, bilingual young people who are committed to their personal and community health, wellness, relationships, and progress.
Okay.
The impact of these young people will ripple through our nation. Our goal is to matriculate bilingual students who, 1, can communicate fluently in both Navajo and English in academic, social, and political settings, 2, have firsthand experience in applying cultural knowledge to address challenges facing their own communities, and 3, carry a strong sense of identity that allows them to pursue college careers and community service.
Okay. I have Ms. Thomas for reading the mission and vision statement. And this is something new that we had talked about earlier in the year as far as really getting our staff, our board members, and our parents and our students involved with knowing the mission and vision statement, because that's something that's very important that we'd like to really implement here at the charter school, and then also let the community know that this is what our school is striving for. So, yeah, with the mission note vision statement, with our yeah. So moving down, we go down to number 4, approval of the agenda. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and ask our vice chairperson to go ahead and read the agenda into the record. Miss Allen?
Okay, Donna, I am gonna need you to move that.
Oh,
Can you move the agenda to the beginning?
oh yeah.
Ashwanda. Okay, on our agenda for today's meeting, we have one call meeting to order, 2 roll call, A, governing council members, 2 staff, 3 C guest, 3 our mission and our vision statement, 4 approval of agenda, 5 approval of minutes of September 30th, 6 community comments, 7 discussion and possible action items. Under that is A, new governing council member. B, sped application approval. C, Hummingbird Parent Advisory Committee bylaws. D, financial school budget report. 1, bars journal entry. 2, budget update approval. 3, new grant for approval, if any. E, governing council committee report. Sorry, was I on F, executive session? Sorry, my signal is really poor out here.
Yes.
Thank you. F, executive session. G, head administrator principal report. 8, closing comments. 9, next governing council meeting. 10, adjournment.
Okay, thank you, Miss Allen, for reading the agenda into the record. So at this time, I'd like to ask the governing board members if we have any amendments or any amendments to the agenda. If not, then we need a motion to approve the agenda as read.
Ms. So, the item A, new governing council member, did we get the letter of interest and the resume submitted? Because I did not see that.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Fernandez. Yes, we did. I did get a copy of the letter of
It needs to
interest
go to
and
all
also
governing
the
council.
resume.
Okay.
Oh,
Can we put that somewhere in the minutes so we can, email so we can review that?
oh, okay, okay. So, I know that the email was forwarded to me by Ms. Chato from the individual. So I'll go ahead and forward that request. So, okay. Is there
Thank you.
anything else as far as the agenda to be added or? Miss Nadine, is it possible if you can forward the letter of interest and the resume to the board members? If there's no other comments or question in regards to the agenda, no modifications or anything, I do need to, I need to hear a motion from the governing board.
Yes, this is Denelia. I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve the agenda as is with the, no, there's no changes. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Miss Allen, for that motion. Do I hear a second?
This is Virginia. I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Virginia, for the second motion on that. If there's no other comments, questions, or concerns, then we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and call for the vote to approve the agenda that was read into the record by Miss Allen with no changes other than the request by Miss Fernandez to get the letter of interest and the resume forward to all board members. So with that, we'll go ahead and Donna, if you could go ahead and call for the vote.
Yes. Miss Virginia, it's not Virginia, Miss Veronica So,
Mrs. So votes green.
Miss Denelia Allen,
Yes.
Donna Fernandez, yes. Virginia Kirk,
Yes, I vote.
great, thank you. Are there any votes against? It wouldn't be. And no abstentions. Okay, motion carries.
Okay, so motion carries with 4 in favor, 0 opposition, and 0 abstain. And Talaba Begay not voting. Okay, thank you, Ms. Fernandez. So we move down to item number 5, approval of the last meeting minutes that was that took place on September 30th. So I know that the meeting minutes are in the Google Drive. So what is the pleasure of the board? Do you want to highlight some areas, or do you want to just go ahead and approve the meeting minutes from last month? This is the second call for the meeting minutes, approval of the meeting minutes from September 30th. Do I hear a motion?
Yes, this is Denelia. I'll make the motion to approve the meetings from the September meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allen, for the motion. Do I hear a second?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Virginia, for the second. Do I hear any comments or questions in reference to the approval of the meeting minutes from last month? If not, then we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Ms. Fernandez, you want to go ahead and call for the vote?
Yes. Miss Veronica So, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes green.
Miss Denelia Allen, how do you vote?
This is Denelia. I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez votes for. Virginia Kirk,
I vote for.
awesome. Okay, we have 4 votes for, 0 against, and 0 abstain.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fernandez, and Talaba's not voting, so that's why we have 4-0-0. Yeah, thank you. And just keep in mind, those of you that are visitors, our governing board is a public meeting. So if you feel like you want a copy of the meeting minutes, it is available. So just reach out to the school and they'll be able to provide a copy for you. So we do follow through the Open Meeting Act. So all of our minutes and our meetings are open to the public. So just for your information. Okay, with that being said, we go further down to item number 6, community comments. we do have I guess a community comment line, and it's limited to 3 minutes, and to inform any, it's like I said, it's a public meeting, but if normally what happens is we're supposed to have a document in place, and if you'd like to speak during a public commentary, that document needs to be in place before the board meeting. But at this time, we're just allowing individuals to speak if they do have a public commentary, but we do limit up to 3 minutes. So at this time, I did not receive anything. I'm not too sure if the admin team received anything. Dennis? Okay. Nadine was. Oh, go ahead, Nadine.
I believe, what was that? Oh, Talaba just joined the meeting. Yes, Andrea Thomas had a request to speak at our meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, with that being said, if Ms. Thomas is on the call, so she does have, I guess she did get prior permission. So at this time, we'll go ahead and give Andrea the floor, and a limit time of 3 minutes. Thank you. Andrea?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to take a moment. I know we don't have a lot of staff on right now, but I actually just wanted to shout out our current Dream to Nest staff that we have. I think this past month has been a busy month, as if you're an educator, know. The beginning of the school year, the quarter one, transitioning into quarter two, it's very busy. There's a lot of things going on, and I think for us, we've had some changes happen, but our staff that we have who've been here since last year have really stepped up to the plate, and I feel like they deserve some recognition for their work. Everyone is collaborating, working together, and they're stepping up, fulfilling the roles of other of work that has been left undone, and nobody complains. Everyone does their part and more. I think everyone that we have currently, they have the best interests of the students at the forefront of everything they do. They all have their own lives. They have their families, responsibilities outside of work. And a lot of them, most of our employees are going to school, and I think that says a lot. The balance that they are going through right now within their daily lives, and they still hold the importance of what we're trying to do here at Dream Dinner as an important part for them, and I think that deserves to be celebrated. And with that, I think it really encourage you guys. I know I'm going to say it again and again, to come and visit us. You're always invited. You're part of our team. You're governing council. You have, you deserve to know what we're doing in the day to day. And I think that that's really important. And so just come see what we're doing. There's not a lot that unless you witness it yourselves. And I think a lot of our staff and everyone here deserves that opportunity for you for them to see, for you guys to see the work that they're doing, and then to get feedback as well. I know that everyone we have here is open to feedback, constructive feedback that helps us to improve our craft, and have a conversation with us. So with that, just want to thank our Dream to Nest staff. Thank you.
Okay. Ich Ms. Thomas with Dean Shinadon Kandal Nishigi with Abe Hainzi. Thank you for the positive feedback. from our staff. And then also, it's always great to know that our staff is going beyond to get their professional growth by going back to school and to become, um, to get more resources, and then also to really help our students and the community members and parents as well. So we often overlook those things because I've worked in a school setting as well, and there's times that we tend to forget our own personal family, but we're out there working with the students and the families as well. So thank you for that feedback, and thank you for inviting us as Dream Diné governing board members to visit the school, and which I feel it's very important because um, you know, there's a difference between hearing something from the community and then actually seeing something in the classroom. But overall, we're there for student success, and that's very important. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that information with everyone. And again, feel free to feel free to stop by the school. And this past week I was able to give the school a call, and I talked to the school secretary, and I also talked with Ms. Chatto as well. I had stopped by the Shiprock chapter house, and I was doing some personal business there. And as I was approaching the chapter house, I noticed that there was 3 to 4 carts of books that were out on the sidewalk, and it indicated that these were free books. So then I looked through the books, and they were all elementary grade level, more like for 2nd to 6th grade level. So I reached out to the school, and I mentioned to the principal, please bring your students or bring the staff out here to look at these books, get these books for your students. So that's something that we need to always share and provide resources for the school. So, but again, it's always great to do something for the kids. So just keep that in mind. But thank you, Andrea, for that report. Although will be able to pop in to the classroom. We don't want to interrupt instruction time, but definitely there just to pop in and maybe read a book to the students. That's always something that's good for our students. So, yeah, thank you. All right. So if we don't have any other individual that's going to do or be part of the community comments, public commentary, we'll go ahead and move down to item number 7, discussion and possible action items. So, and under A, we have the new governing council member. So at this time, Ms. Chatto, did you happen to forward the email, the letter of interest, and the resume to the board members? So I'm not too sure what the pleasure of the board would be as far as reading the resume and the letter of interest, but we do have a potential governing council member that reached out to the administrator and reached out to me as well to serve on the Dream Diné governing board. So the individual's name is Kirby Johnson, and I believe he is still on the call. So at this time, I'd like to go ahead and give Mr. Johnson the floor, and we can give him 5 minutes to introduce himself and kind of give us a little bit of information about himself and so forth. So at this time, Mr. Johnson? You have
Yes.
the floor.
Oh, okay. Hello, Yate, Kirby Johnson, Tati, Hashkashibashichin. I'm currently the chapter president for Tualina to Grey Hills, and also school board president for the Natanina School Board. for the grant schools. We oversee Kintil Residential Campus, Shirbach Associated Schools, and Rock Point Community Schools. Tensod is and I'm very interested in becoming a board member on your charter school to learn about the I guess how charters work, and just like get some experience and working with you guys to try to move Dream Dene forward. So I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity to allow me to speak.
Okay, ayaha Mr. Johnson with get your hands do kwa di nalso sishin with a nin so di kwa dreamed in a governing board a kaddish within. So at this time, what is the pleasure of the board as far as our next step with Mr. Johnson's interest on serving on the governing board? I'm not too sure if we could pause for about 5 minutes, six or several minutes to go ahead and get into your email and to look at his resume and his letter of interest. But he did mention that he served in the capacity of some leadership roles. So at this time, what's the pleasure of the board?
I would appreciate a 5-minute break to be able to read that, and then if we could, I don't know if there's a breakout room or if we want to if we have any questions after reading the letter and the resume.
Okay, we can recess for 10 minutes. Is 10 minutes a suitable time?
Or 5.
Or 5 minutes, okay. What's the pleasure of the board if you want to recess for 5 minutes to look into your email with the letter of interest and the resume to Mr. Johnson?
This is Virginia. I don't know. I don't have access to internet right now to look at that email. Maybe if we could review it first. And I don't know. That's my opinion right now. I just don't have access. That's why I'm on a phone call.
Okay. Thank you, Virginia. Danielia?
Madam Chair, this is Chato.
Yes.
Can I just read it?
Sure.
Great. It's easier
This is
said than
Virginia.
done.
Do you think maybe we could table it, and that way we could look at the email? I would rather want to read it myself or look at it on email when I get internet.
Yes, this is Danielia. I was just gonna make a motion to say that we table this. I just don't feel comfortable with it just being sent out and everyone not really getting a chance to go over it and really look at the resume thoroughly. I think it's only fair that we give time to go over it. Thank you.
I have a suggestion, and then also after going over the email, if we can go into a little separate session to where we can discuss on our own terms of, I guess, questions we might have, and then questions or concerns in that matter.
Madam President, it's Virginia. I have a question. Are we looking for another board member at this time?
Thank you for all the questions and comments and recommendations. So with the charter school board, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not too sure if Nadine's still on the call, but we are allowed to have 8 board members. 9 board members, 9 board members. So our membership for governing board members is open to anyone to serve on the governing board. And again, there's 9 board members that can fill our positions. So, Ms. Donna, go ahead.
Our governing council bylaws say that we set the number of board members. So it's up to 9, but we set it. The governing council sets the number of board members. We are required to have 5 by the state of New Mexico.
Okay, did you get that?
So by the state of New Mexico, so we basically fulfilled our board, our governing seats, but we can fulfill up to 9. Is that correct?
That's correct. Virginia, did you
Okay.
hear that? I think she's kind of limited with her service.
Okay, so in that case, we
I heard
aren't looking
that,
for another one.
I'm
Okay, hold on here. Virginia, hold on. Talaba has a question. Hold on, then we'll get to you. Talaba?
Hi, so sorry about that. I was just saying, so we fulfilled the 5 already. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, we as a governing board now, are we seeking to fulfill the 9, or are we okay with just the 5 we have? I guess that should be a discussion we also have.
Okay, thank you for the question, Ms. Begay. So, Virginia, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yes, that answered my question of like we fulfilled the 5, and if we ever, I mean, just kind of like we haven't discussed this, if we are looking for another one, or if we've already set like we're good with 5.
Okay. All right. So, as Ms. Fernandez indicated, our bylaws indicate that we can have up to 9 governing board members, but through the state public education department, we are allowed to have 5. So we could work with 5 through 9. So if we have 6, 7, 8, or 9, that would still be appropriate for the governing board as far as our bylaws. So there's several recommendations that are being made. So we do have an agenda item indicating that we are potentially trying to fill another seat for a new governing council member. So it is on the agenda. So we just need to move forward on who's going to motion to go ahead and table this particular item or defer this particular item.
I will motion.
Could you go ahead and read what you're going to motion, Talaba?
Sorry, I'm driving. I'm going to motion to table this.
Okay.
Because because I feel like we have to have a deeper discussion about if we want to add any more, because it is kind of just a question of, we could allow up to 9, but by state education we can have we have to have 5 sitting on the governing council, but I guess we haven't really decided altogether if we want to fulfill up to 9 or what the number exactly we're looking at.
Okay, so there is a motion by Ms. Begay to go ahead and table the new governing council member until I guess we as governing board members meet, our current governing board members meet to discuss questions and how we're going to proceed with that. Do I hear a second?
Yeah, this is Virginia. I'll second that as well. I feel it's important that we discuss that. And I don't have, there's no way, we haven't gotten the resume, I can't get the resume right now. So it would be like in my best interest to go ahead and second that motion.
Okay, there is a second. So with that being said, do I hear any comments, questions in reference to the tabling of the potential new governing council member? If not, we'll have Mrs. Fernandez call for the vote.
Okay. Mrs. So, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes abstain.
Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
This is Danelia. I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez, I vote for. Virginia Kirk,
This is Virginia. I vote for.
Talaba Begay.
I vote for.
Okay. We have, Madam Chair, we have 4 votes for, 0 against, and 1 abstain. Motion carries.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Fernandez, for calling for the votes on the new governing council member. With that, we move forward to B, SPED application. The idea B and approval. Charlotte and Nadine.
Charlotte's still having trouble with her internet or her mic. So I'm going to speak to this. The SPED application is complete. Without the MOU, we cannot move forward. We are still waiting for the MOU from Navajo Nation. It's in their field right now. I don't know when they're going to get it to us. I inquired this past Thursday, and they haven't really given me an answer. So we'll just keep hounding them and bugging them about it. That's the only part that we're missing on our application. We have tribal consultation on the 8th, and I can bring it up again during that time. But my recommendation is just to defer it. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Nadine, but I do have a question. So with this MOU that's requested from the Navajo Nation, what is the timeline from the state? Are they willing to extend that, or do we have a certain timeline?
Oh, we have until the end of, I believe it was January 30th. So we're still in the good. As long as we get that MOU and may possibly do a special meeting, we can get it passed and we'll get it. According to my figures, it's $4,000 that we are still looking at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Miss Donna?
That was my question about the application deadline.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fernandez. Do I hear any other questions in reference to the MOU not in place yet from the Navajo Nation? Okay.
This is Danelia. I don't have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Okay, I guess we did hear the recommendation from Ms. Nadine as far as deferring this particular item to the next month's meeting, just because we do not have the MOU that needs to be included with the application. So, and as indicated, there is a deadline of January 2025. So what is the pleasure of the board based on the recommendation?
Shush, it's alcohol.
Okay, can you make that motion and with the deferment?
I don't want to overstep Talaba, but Talaba, or I'll make a motion to table the SPED application approval by recommendation of Ms. Chatto, head administrator, due to the Navajo Nation MOU not signed yet.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Fernandez. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Okay, was that Talaba? Was that
Yes.
Talaba? Okay,
She's
thank you, Ms.
oh,
Begay. All
oh.
right, so we do have a motion by Mrs. Fernandez and second by Ms. Begay. So do I hear any questions or comments to the particular item that we're discussing? If not, then we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Mrs. Fernandez, if you could go ahead and call for the vote.
Miss Veronica, So, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes green.
Miss Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
Mrs. Denelia, I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez, I'm in favor. Miss Virginia Kirk, how do you vote?
This Virginia, I vote for.
And Miss Talaba Begay, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
Motion is carried with 5 votes for, 0 against, and 0 abstain.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Fernandez. I don't thank you, board members, for your vote as well. So this particular item will be on the November agenda. So hopefully we'll be able to get this MOU in place and get this approved and forward this application to the state. Okay, Naslane Katogo A, we're under item C, Hummingbird Parent Advisory Committee bylaws. So ADCA, it was included with this agenda. I'm not too sure who is sponsoring this particular bylaws. Miss Nadine?
Okay, so at our last meeting on September 30th, we had all talked about this, and the board, I'm trying to find the minutes again here, hold on. According to the minutes, it said that the bylaws should be seen. Mr. Sosa motioned that it should be seen by the lawyers. And then I suggested that you review it before we sent it to the lawyers. And then we tabled the motion. So motion to table was unanimous. Let's see the bylaws. The motion was to review and make changes, then send to the lawyers. So has anybody reviewed it? And if it's ready to, if everybody has read it and made recommendations or made some changes to it, then I can send it on off to the lawyer. That's where we are with that.
Thank you, Miss Nadine, for the feedback on that. And we do have a question from Danelia. Danelia?
Yes, Donna, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Donna, was that put in our drive for changes to be made? I believe we looked over it and we just wanted to take out Central Consolidated School and put in fix the dreams in some of the font and some of the wording was kind of off.
Yeah,
That
that was converted into a Google Doc, so people can make comments on it, and it's linked also right here too. There's a link
okay.
on our agenda, and there was a link on our last meeting.
Goshi, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Allen, for the question. Are there any other questions from any other board members?
I have a question. So are we wanting us as the board members to put our input in and then they're going to go put it, I mean, I guess the parent, is it the parent committee that's going to make input as well? And then from that, it's going to go to the lawyers, correct? Is that what we're trying to do?
Thank you, Virginia, for that question. You did bring out a good point, though. Basically, based on the meeting minutes from last month, it was basically just said that the amendments could be modified by the board members only, but we didn't even include the parents. So this is actually the Parent Advisory Committee's bylaws. So I guess we need to include them as well. So I guess that's something that we need to get a feedback from the PAC. But I believe Danelia has a question. Danelia?
Yes, I started to look over it. I was the former PAC president. I did step down last month. So I did take a look at it and I did make some changes. I'm not sure if my previous position has been filled, but otherwise I did take a look at it prior to leaving my position there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Miss Allen. Miss Nadine, administrator, did you get any feedback from the current? I'm not even sure if we have a current chairperson in that position since the departure of Danelia.
No, I did not receive anything from anybody. I've been just waiting to move forward from everyone else, and we do not have anybody sitting in that position as of today.
Okay.
We're waiting. I'm just waiting for you guys to approve so I can move it forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Nadine. Board members, anyone? Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Virginia. So do we want to go ahead and I don't know, board members, do you want to include the parents or the members in the parent committee to review it and then come to us and then we send it off to the lawyers?
Okay. Thank you, Virginia. That could be an option, or that should be recommended, because it's the parents that are actually the ones that are meeting. So we'll go ahead and get, I guess Danelia's got a question. Danelia?
Yes, I was just going to ask the same thing. And also in the bylaws, there is, I believe, a section in there where the position kind of should be filled quickly. And I believe that's how I got put into that position, was the head administrator at the time thought that I'd be, a good candidate for it. And, I filled the position right when the last president left. So that might be a thought for Ms. Chatto to consider, is to getting that position filled. That way we have somebody to work with.
Madam Chair?
Okay. Nadine, go ahead, and then we'll have Donna in the queue.
Okay. Yeah, filling that position, shouldn't that be the president of the PAC committee's responsibility, because they have been the ones working with the parents? Just a question.
Okay. Thank you for that question. Before we answer that question, I'll go ahead and give the floor to Donna. Miss Donna.
Thank you for the chance to speak. I did put in the chat the Governing Council Bylaws, Section 3, Governing Council members. And it does state in here that Governing Council should, with a minimum of 1 and not more than 2 parent members, shall be elected by a majority of the Governing Council. So, yeah, when we have a PAC president, I think in the past, it doesn't say it has to be the president, but we want to, as part of our board, identify a parent member to come onto our board.
Okay. Thank you for that bylaws information. So I'm going to give it back to the board members. What is the pleasure of the board members on this particular item? Do we do some recommendations to have the PAC committee review the bylaws, and which just based on my recommendation, I think that would be appropriate because we do have our former chairperson that had stepped down. So so that would just be a recommendation. So I know that Miss Virginia did bring that out as well. So what is the pleasure of the board?
This is Virginia. I feel like we should get that position filled and let the parents review it, you know, as part of their duties and their children attending the school. Just the sense that if my child was going to school, it would be proper for the parent. They have a lot of say-so, and then send it to us after they reviewed it. That way they can make their changes, and then we can send it to the attorney for legal review.
Okay. Thank you, Virginia. I know that's your recommendation. Do you want a motion on that, or is that just a recommendation that you're making?
I'd like to make that as a motion.
Okay, as a motion. Okay. So we do have Danielia and Donna that have questions. So Danielia, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Madam Chair. I've never used Google Meets before, so I have no clue where the chat option is. But if you do read the Hummingbird Parent Advisory Committee bylaws in Article C in the membership area, it does say that the membership must be comprised of at least 3 parents, and also that they are nominated. The officers shall be elected by the Dream Diné parents at a meeting to which they have been invited with the 30-day notice and 30 days. And if in the event that there are no nominees by parents, the PAC officers may be appointed by Dream Diné Charter School administrator or administrators. And that's in Article C membership. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I apologize. You know what? I'm doing something that's illegal. When you're running a meeting, if there's a motion on the floor, we always supposed to get a second before there's any other comments or recommendations. That's based on parliamentary procedures. So I apologize. Virginia, you did motion. As far as giving it back to the PAC committee. So I can't let anyone else comment until I hear a second. Do I hear a second?
This is Danielia. I'll go ahead and second that motion to get
All right.
parents involved. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allen. Now we can call for questions and comments. So at this time, Donna, you were in the queue. So Donna, go ahead.
That was my question. Are we tabling this as this is an action item for approval, or are we going to make this a motion to send this to as the recommendation? So that was it. So I'm going to just let you guys know then it won't be a motion to approve. Then it will be a motion to send this to the parent advisory current members for their recommendations and suggestions. And then as Virginia stated, then to us, back to us, and then to the lawyer. So I will put that down as the motion. So it's not a motion to approve, and I will change that in the minutes to reflect that.
Okay. Thank you, Donna, for that clarity. Also, I just wanted to add with that motion, we really can't say if we want to put it and defer it to next month's meeting. It's just until further notice, until the PAC committee establishes their membership, and then when they review the amendments, and then they can come back. So it could be next month or it could be the following month. So there's really no set date in stone, but I just wanted to clarify that as well. Okay, before we call for the vote, I believe we do have an individual that has her hand raised. Ms. Thomas?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. If you don't mind, if I could just make a comment. I know I'm not a governing council, but I just wanted to state a couple things. So this was on the original, you guys' agenda in the August meeting. And at that time, you guys were asked, some of you guys said that you're going to work together to make the improvements of the bylaws in time for the next meeting, which was September. September came around and you guys had the same conversation where you hadn't looked at it. It was like, oh, when are we going to do this? We didn't look at it. And let's table it to go to the next month. In that time, in October, we had our board president at that time who resigned from their position. We have talked to parents who are interested, but since this was going to be a new person coming in, we wanted, as Dreams and as staff, to follow the bylaws and our part to make sure that we were following what you guys approved. So we said by October, they're going to approve the changes to the bylaws, and the people that are interested, particularly one person in general, or would like to see what the bylaws are before signing up to do it. So what I'm hearing now is you're making the recommendation to get the parent input when that, to be honest, should have been, if that's what you guys wanted, it's a great idea, but should have been mentioned in August, because now we are 2 months behind and we're waiting to move forward because we're waiting for you to approve it with the updated forms. So when we send this information to the PEC, it has the current year, and the people who sign on to make the commitment have the updated information as well as their names who are going on it. So I think that that's something to consider because we are trying to do our part here, but are trying to follow rules that we are going to adhere to. And as Dreams and as staff, we will have to go in front of the PEC to speak on this. So I just want to put that out. So we are working on it, but the change in the abrupt changeover in the past month has put us in the position that we are in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thomas, for your comment. So I know I have 2 individuals in the queue. I don't know who was first. I think it was it Danelia? Okay, Ms. Allen, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Donna.
Okay. My question is this a constitution already, is this a constitution that is already enacted and we're only doing revisions, or is this a brand new constitution? Because if this is only doing revisions, then the PAC can continue to operate off of this. We know that there are just a few revisions right now, which is the changing of CCSD. And so that has been looked over. So if that should not hold up the members from being able to see the majority of the bylaws and what they're signing up for. And then to the comment about the PEC, when does this have to be reported to them and why? And then is that part of our contract? And that could be answered by Ms. Chatto, probably.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fernandez. Before I proceed on to Ms. Allen, there is a question by Ms. Fernandez. So, Nadine?
Yes, I heard the question. We have to report everything that we've been doing here at the school at the end of the school year. We have to bring them our data. We have to bring them our bylaws, everything that you guys are supposed to be in compliance with. I sent out some information about that this morning. You know, understanding that we are now state charter, there's a lot of things that are coming up, and we just have to make sure that we are in compliance with everything. They're looking at us with a magnifying glass, making sure that we are following everything. We all just found out that we have to enter all our documents into Epicenter, which I just found out about. It's something new, but whether or not we knew about it and it's something new, we still have to do it. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chado. So going down to into the queue, Danielia?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a few comments to make. I believe I'll just go back on what Donna said. These are just changes made. We're not revising the whole thing. We're not writing up a whole new bylaw. There's just little wordings. We had to take CCSD out of it. We had to fix the Dreams in a part of it. I believe that these bylaws can be used at any time, regardless of whether they're being revised or not. I feel like
Hello, Danielia? We lost
Yes.
you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just feel like we should have a parent voice at all times, and that these bylaws can be used. And if this was supposed to be in compliance, I believe that the date, there's not even a date on the bylaws. I don't know when they were last revised, and we've been using those bylaws for the past, I don't know how many years. And it was the reason that I initially brought it up to the attention of the board is because there was no date on when it was last revised. So we had been using these bylaws, and like I said, I feel like there shouldn't be any reason why we cannot just roll into it and continue. And I just had a comment to make as a board member. I feel like a lot of these questions we have, and a lot of comments that are being made are coming not from our head administrator, but from a teacher. And I feel like I would feel more comfortable if they were coming from our head administrator, seeing that we work with her closely. I believe that communication should be done between governing board member and our head administrator. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you guys heard everything I said.
Thank you. So as governing board members, recommendations are made from the school admin team. And I know this particular request that's being made for this bylaws for the PAC. It was trucking along really well until there was an abruptly resignation from the chair. So with that being said, there was a recommendation made by Miss Virginia to go ahead and give it to the current PAC members to review it. And as I guess Danielia indicated that there was just a little bit of logistics that needed to be amended, which was removing the CCSD and to put in the Dream Diné wording in the bylaws. So we were in the right direction until, resignations have happened. So at this point in time, there was recommendations made by board members to go ahead and give it back to the PAC team to review it. And I believe I'm not too sure when they meet, but I'd be more than happy to join them at their meeting to let them know that there is a bylaws in place, and the only changes that would be possibly made would be the verbiage as far as removing CCSD and adding Dream Dene. And I'm not too sure if our parents or our PAC members know that we are reauthorized through the public education school as a state chartered school. So I believe that's where there's a breakdown somewhere to where we need to, as a board member, we need to include ourselves into that meeting. So, but as far as things being recommended, it should be the board members or the admin team. And when I say admin team, it could be, I'm not too sure if Nadine has anyone under her, or if she's the only administrator, or I don't know who she delegates in authority as far as if there's any decision that needs to be made. I'm not too sure if that's Charlotte, because Charlotte is the business manager. So I'm not too sure. But again, just keep in mind, our meetings are open to the community. They're open to parents. So we just have to value their input and their feedback as well. So and there is a motion by Miss Virginia to go ahead and give this back to the PAC committee to have them review. There is a second by Danelia. But if you feel that that's not if you feel that recommendation is not appropriate, then you can, a board member can do a substitute motion as well. So, Ede Yaha. So do we have any other questions or comments? There is a motion and a second that's already in place. If there's no questions or comments, then we'll go ahead and give the floor to Mrs. Fernandez to call for the vote.
Okay. So the motion on the floor is to table the approval and send the HPA Constitution bylaws to the current PAC for their input, then to the governing council, and then to the attorney for final approval. Mrs. So, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes in favor.
Miss Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
This is Denelia. I'm in favor.
Miss Fernandez, myself, I am in favor. Miss Virginia Kirk?
I'm in favor.
Miss Talaba Begay?
I'm in favor.
The motion carries with 5-4, 0 against, and 0 abstain.
Okay.
I just add one thing then. Can we get informed of the next PAC meeting so that we so that you said that you will attend that or be able to be a part of that discussion?
For the record, I'm sorry, this is Chado. For the record, it's the second Tuesday of every month, and I will send out that information to all the board members.
Thank you.
Okay, I had Ms. Fernandez, Mrs. Fernandez, Otto, board members for your input and feedback. Otto, Ani, it's very difficult to be that individual, to be on the neutral side. As a chairperson, that's your role is to be very neutral. And again, I have a question on the bylaws that we have to follow through the state chartered school, and that's something that I'd like to request for, because the bylaws I'm following that that I should be following is under the state education board, but I don't have a copy of that. But normally in a regular parliamentary procedures as a chairperson, you don't vote, you vote abstain. So that's the normal protocol. So Ms. Chado, if you could find out what the bylaws for state school board and state chartered school, if you could forward that to all of us so we have a pretty good idea of how we should be conducting our meetings. Because again, like I said, I'm just kind of following what we have been doing as far as the voting part for the past 2 years now. But now that we're a state chartered school, we do need to follow their protocols. So, but so I thank you for your input, your feedback, and they're very valuable. And like I said, when you're conducting a meeting, you're looking at so many things here, and you're hearing, comments and questions. So, so bear with me if I overlooked you with your question, but it'll get easier. So, but thank you again for your votes, and thank you, Ms. Chado, for sharing that information on the second Tuesday for the PAC committee. Okay, so we move forward. Ms. Donna, go ahead.
Ms. Chado, that's going to be the national election. Do you think this meeting will still take place?
National election. Let me see. Hold on.
We vote on November.
No, it's on the second Tuesday, Ms. Fernandez. That's
okay. That's the first Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So Nasnane Kato. Now we're on item D, financial school budget report. And I'm not too sure if Charlotte is able to do a verbal report just because she is limited with apparently her microphone is being blocked from this Google Meet. So Charlotte, are you still there? Hello?
Madam Chair, she says she is there. Yes, I'm here.
Can you see if she can just call in?
Yes, hold on.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's see.
She is on the phone.
Can you guys hear me?
They're nodding. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Oh, it doesn't let me share. Oh, wait, let me try here. Nope, it's great.
I'll stop sharing.
Oh, okay, that worked. Okay. Can you guys see my spreadsheet?
No, we see the Zoom meeting or the Google Meets meeting.
Okay. Hold on. Let's see, stop sharing. How about now?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Okay. So for September, we received $28,043.01 in revenue, which was our SCG, and our expenditures was $90,989.83. Our year-to-date revenue was $257,608.75. Our year-to-date expenditures was $198,310.08, giving us a cash bank balance of $194,647.34. And just stop me if you guys have any questions. This is the activity in the month of September. And I don't think we had any unusual payments. And Veronica did ask about the hotel, and that was for training for 2 of our employees to do the food service training for the school. These are the items that reconciled in the month of September. And there were no questions regarding the reconciled items. We had 3 outstanding checks, and this one item we're going to look into. And if they did not receive it, we're going to go ahead and issue them another check. I sent an email out to the school. These are the detail GL for the month of September. And this is the reconciliation with 0 variance. Our statement of revenue year to date for through September was $257,608.75 in revenue and $198,310.08 in expenditures. The activity for only September, there was $28,043 in revenue and $90,989.83 in expenditures. Okay, I probably have to stop sharing this and go to the other. And then I did have the, I might have to open it first, hold on. The purchase orders and the detail. Let's see. Okay, do you guys see the issued purchase orders?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. For September, we had a change order in the MW Electric because we had some repairs done. Public schools, charter schools of New Mexico. This is training. New Mexico Schools Education Service Association, that's ACES for our ancillary services. And we had to do a change order to add the speech. Houghton Mifflin was curriculum. New Mexico Edge was a CPO training for the administrator. These are the 2 hotel POs, or actually it's 1 PO. I had to do a change order to add somebody, add to the total. And this is reimbursement for travel. And then we had, this is for utilities and Navajo Tribal Utility Authority. If you guys have any questions, then just remember there's always this tab. Like I sent it earlier, so if you have time, you can go to this tab, and this has the detail of each PO, and they're set up in numerical order. So if you want to look at this one, you just go to 43 and then look for PO 43. There it is. And then it tells you what it is. So do you have any questions? And we don't have any bars or journal entries for this meeting. And I don't know if Veronica or Daniela want to add anything from our meeting.
Before I go into the queue for a question from Donna, I just wanted to inform the board that I know the last finance meeting that I participated in last month, and I did participate in today's meeting as well. But one of the concerns that I had was a lot of these checks that are outstanding, some of them are falling more than 90 days. So that was my concern. So I know that Ms. Archuleta did indicate that they do a follow-up after, after 60, 90 days. But I really think that we need to concentrate on trying to keep it within 90 days. So we don't want to carry and stretch that out too long. But that was just my only comment and concern. Thank you. With that, Donna does have a question. Donna?
Oh, Charlotte, did you upload the financials into the Google Drive?
No, I just emailed them to you last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you, would you, I noticed that in our drive, we don't have a folder for financials, but under our 2024-25 school year, there's a folder in the drive. And if you could put financials in there, that'd be awesome.
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you.
I think you shared it with me today, so I can, that's the folder you want it in?
Yes, please.
The one you sent? Okay, will do.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, I guess I'll hang up then.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nadine.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlotte. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. I just have something else. I just wanted to make a comment just for the board members and the visitors and whoever's on the call. But now that we're a state chartered school, our Dream Diné is going to be audited quarterly. And I know that there was just a recent audit that took place, and that was in reference to the academic part. So as Nadine mentioned earlier, that any data, anything pertaining to Dream Diné has to be reported to the state or to the public education department. So I know that Charlotte and I did talk as far as to see if, when her audit is going to happen, but she did report to me that she does reporting every quarter. So, which is good. And we just want to make sure that we are in compliance as indicated. So that's just what I wanted to share. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and are there any other questions for Charlotte by any chance? Dennis? Okay, and we do need to go back to the bars and journal entries. She did report that. So, and then she indicated that there was no bars at all, right? Is that what she said? The budget updates, approval budget, salary, calendar. So with that being said, yes, okay. Thank you, Charlotte. So with that was just information only. So there's no approval on that part on the bars and journal entries. And the information is just on the budget updates. So going down to 3, new grant for approvals, if any, that would be Charlotte and Nadine.
At this time, we do not have any. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we don't have any motion to approve any of the financials for this month. So we'll just go ahead and move forward to our next item, which would be item E, Governing Council Committee Reports. And the first item is the Finance Committee. And that would be myself. But I believe that's going to have to be changed just because I'm the chairperson now. So I'm not too sure who it will be presiding as the head person for the finance committee. So I believe it's Danelia and myself that are serving. So I guess it would, we're going to have to put this in motion to where Danelia will be serving as the head individual for the finance committee. Is that correct, Miss Nadine?
I'm looking up our bylaws right now. One
Okay.
moment.
Thank you, Donna.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this and I will now share our bylaws. Oh, no, that's there we go. Okay. Yes, a little learning curve also. Thank you everybody in attendance, our learning curve on Google Meets, but this is wonderful. Okay, so Finance Committee, and yes, it is very small. Let's see if I could do this. One moment. No. One moment. I'm looking for. Okay. I don't know how to make it bigger right now. Okay, so it says the financial committee shall be comprised of the school business manager, governing council president, governing council treasurer, at least one other member of the governing council when there are more than 5 governing council members, and the principal. The purpose of the finance committee shall be to make recommendations to the governing council, and so then that's just their duties. Okay, so to answer your question, Mrs. So, you remain on the financial committee because you're now the council president. The council treasurer, who is our treasurer, is now. We don't have a treasurer, so we probably should take care of that either at the next meeting or next meeting to elect a treasurer. That's something I guess we did not. Did we not? I'll have to look back at minutes. Okay, so we got Mrs. So. We needed a council treasurer and at least one member of the governing council when there are more than. So we don't have more than 5 governing council members. So it would just be those 2, the president and the governing council treasurer, and then the principal and the school business manager.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Fernandez, for sharing the finance committee protocols. So I know last month was kind of a crazy month. So during our meeting, so we'll go ahead and establish, I guess before our next meeting, establish a treasurer member. And we are only allowed to have 2 board members on the committee. So that would be myself and then the treasurer. So I guess there's some unfinished business items that we will be needing to do. So we will be calling for a special meeting, and we'll schedule that special meeting at the end of our meeting today to discuss the potential new board member, and then also the new membership for the finance committee. And that will probably also include the audit committee as well. So we're going to fall in that same category. So just keep that in mind. So thank you, Donna. So I just wanted to share, and I don't know, maybe Danelia has something to share under the finance committee.
No, I don't have anything to share. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Danelia. And I just asked those questions earlier, and that's just part of the finance committee. So I don't have anything else to report under the finance committee. So with that being said, does anybody have any questions or comments, board members, under finance committee? If not, then we'll go ahead and proceed down to number 2, Audit Committee. Again, we need to establish an audit committee as well. So that would be part of our agenda for our special meeting to establish that committee as well. Is there any other recommendations for the audit committee, Ms. Donna?
Oh, since we have this on the agenda, why don't we take care of it tonight? Is it if it's looking at who needs to be on it? You're making these recommendations because of our recent election last month. Is that why you're revisiting these?
Okay. Yes. And the reason why if we're going to make those committees if we're going to establish those committees, we have to amend our agenda to add membership for a treasurer position. And then we also need to include membership under Finance and Audit Committee.
Yeah,
So
because it looks
whoever-
like the audit committee needs the treasurer too.
Yeah. So whoever motioned the agenda needs to modify the agenda if we're going to make that discussion today and put these in place. So the motioning party was to approve the agenda was Danielia, and it was seconded by Virginia.
Okay, so I need to resend my motion. Is that what you're saying?
You can amend
Reword
the-
it?
Yeah, you can amend the agenda by adding establishing a treasury position, and then also going under the audit and the finance committee to establish the membership. You can make that motion, and then Virginia can second that.
Okay. I guess this is Danielia, and I'll go ahead and amend my motion to approve the agenda to add the positions under finance that need to be made.
Okay, so you're gonna establish the finance and audit committee. Okay.
Yes, establish the finance and audit committee. Yes,
Okay.
apologize.
Okay, and then we also need to add to the agenda that we need to establish a board member to serve as a treasurer. We also need to add that to the agenda.
Okay, and to add board member as treasurer.
Okay, board members, there is a motion on the floor to amend the agenda with 3 additions. The first addition would be establishing a board member to serve as a treasurer. And then under, we also need to go under the governing council reports and add the finance committee to establish a finance committee. In addition to that, establish an audit committee. So that is a motion by Danielia. Do I hear a concur from Virginia?
I second.
Okay. Okay, with that being said, we need to go ahead and call for the vote with these modifications. Mrs. Fernandez, go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Hit the wrong button. All right. Mrs. So, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes in favor.
Mrs. Danielia Allen, how do you vote?
This is Danielia. I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez, I'm for. Mrs. Virginia Kirk, how do you vote?
I vote for.
And Ms. Talababa Gay, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
With 5 members voting for, 0 opposed and 0 abstained, this motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fernandez, and then also the governing board members for your support and your in favor of establishing the committees and then also appointing a treasurer for the Dream Dinner. So with that, we'll go ahead and go under governing council reports. Donna, is that where we need to go? Is under governing reports? Before the finance committee, we need to establish a treasurer position for from one of the Dream Dinner.
Yes. Yeah, and I was looking at the minutes of the 30th. And just to clarify where we're at with that. And so, okay, so let's see. Sorry, I'm just kind of going through the minutes from the 30th. So we did elections, president, vice president, secretary, and then it looks like we did have a Gavin Sosa as our treasurer, but because of his resignation, then yes, we do need to establish a new treasurer. So yeah, we should be taking a motion right now. Our nominations are open then for treasurer.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Fernandez. So we are on item E, right under governing council committee reports. I guess we need to add. So all those numbers are going to change. So the first item would be nominating a treasurer. So at this time, we'll go
Correct.
ahead and. What's the pleasure of the board for nominating a treasurer for Dream Dinner?
This is Delia. I'll go ahead and nominate Virginia as treasurer.
Okay, there is a nomination on the floor by Ms. Ellen nominating Virginia. Before I give the floor to Virginia to see if she accepts the nomination, we do have a question or a hand raised in the queue. Ms. Donna?
I was going to second that nomination after if we find out she accepts.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and accept Donna's second. Now we go back to Miss Virginia Kirk. Ms. Kirk, do you accept the nomination to serve as the treasurer for Dream Dinner?
I do.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kirk does accept the nomination. So with that, do I hear a cease of the nomination or do I hear another nomination? Second call, do I hear another nomination or do we cease the nomination? A third and final call. Do we cease the nomination or do we have another nomination for treasurer?
This is Mrs. Fernandez. I recommend that we cease nominations.
Thank you, Ms. Fernandez. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Begay. with that, we'll go ahead and call for the vote to cease the nomination. Ms. Fernandez?
Okay, the motion is to cease the nominations for the governing council treasurer. Mrs. So, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
Mrs. Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
Mrs. Fernandez votes in favor. Mrs. Kirk, how do you vote?
I abstain.
And Ms. Talaba, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
Okay, with 4 members voting in favor and 0 opposed and 1 abstention, the motion carries to cease the nominations for governing council treasurer.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Fernandez, and thank you, governing board members. Now at this time, I'd like to go ahead and call for the vote for Ms. Kirk to serve as or not call the vote, but I need a motion to recommend the appointee, or not appointee, but the nomination for Ms. Kirk.
This is Danelia. I'll make that motion.
Thank
For
you.
nomination.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
Thank you, Ms. Begay. Are there any comments or questions? If there's none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote for the nomination and the acceptance. Mrs. Fernandez?
Mrs. So, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes in favor.
Mrs. Allen, how do you vote?
This is Danelia. I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez votes in favor. Virginia Kirk, how do you vote?
Abstain.
And Talba Begay, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
With 4 members and 4, 0 opposed and 1 abstain, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Fernandez, and thank you, board members, for your votes, and congratulations to Ms. Kirk for serving as our treasurer for Dream Dine. So with that, we'll go ahead and move forward to the next item. So it'd be number 2, the Finance Committee. And that would be establishing a Finance Committee. So I just need a motion to establish the Finance Committee with the governing chairperson, the business manager, the school head administrator, and the Dream Dine treasurer. Do I hear a motion?
This is Virginia. I make the motion that we have the 4 members to be in the Finance Committee.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Kirk, do I hear a second?
This is Danelia. I will second that motion.
Okay, do I have any comments or questions from the governing board? If none, then we'll go ahead and call for the vote for the establishment of the Finance Committee with 4 members. Mrs. Fernandez, could you go ahead and call for the vote?
Mrs. So, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
Mrs. Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
This is Danelia. I'm in favor.
Ms. Fernandez votes in favor. Ms. Kirk, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
Mrs. Talaba Begay, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
With 5 members voting for, 0 opposed, 0 against, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Fernandez. So we do have a Finance Committee that is established. And Charlotte, if you're still on the call, I guess we need to start inviting Virginia to our finance meeting prior to our regular board meeting. Okay, with that, we go down to number 3, which would be the audit committee. Miss Nadine, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. What about the community member that was supposed to serve on the audit committee or the finance committee? Has anybody ever reached out to this individual that we are having these meetings?
Thank you for your question, Nadine. Going back to Mrs. Fernandez sharing the finance committee guidelines, it didn't indicate a community member, but I believe that one falls under audit. So, Ms. Fernandez, if you could share the audit committee guidelines.
Sure. And that's what she was asking about, the audit committee, since we're dealing with the audit committee right now. Yes, let me stop sharing and I will pull up the governing council bylaws for one moment. And okay, and I can share that. Let me pull that up and I will share that. Okay. And let me pull that up here. And I can make that bigger. Found out how to do that. Okay. So let's go down to audit committee. Sorry, guys, zooming. I'm scrolling fast. Audit committee. So it says that the audit committee shall be comprised of school business manager, governing council treasurer, principal, and second governing council, and one parent who shall have experience in accounting and finance matters. The parent shall be appointed from a list of parents who are willing to volunteer on the committee. Okay. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Fernandez, but I do have a question. It doesn't really specify on that guidelines there. It just indicates that the parent shall be appointed from a list of parents who are willing to volunteer on the committee. So are we strictly just defining the parents that, or the parents that have children there at Dream Dene, or could it be a community parent, a community member parent?
That is an excellent question. Reading over this, the bylaws are not clear on the parent needing to be a parent of the of a child at the school. I could only assume that's what they mean. That's why they put parent in there, but it is not clear.
So Miss Nadine, could we get some clarification on that? If we can just pick up a parent that maybe that has a child that goes to CCSD or someone from the community. So we just need to get that clarified.
Yes, I can do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And I think to answer her question, has the audit committee met? Because they don't meet on a regular basis. If I'm correct, they only meet certain times of the year. So have they met yet?
Okay, Danelia, go ahead.
I believe just the meeting before this, the finance meeting, that Charlotte did speak to us about the audit, and she said she was going to go ahead and add that in as an audit meeting also. Correct, Charlotte or Nadine?
We meet quarterly.
Veronica?
So every quarter we're going to be meeting because that's when our audits are conducted.
Okay. Oh, Charlotte just put thumbs up.
Okay, so then we do want to ensure that that parent that is supposed to be on the audit committee is informed of those meetings.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for those questions. And it's always good that we refer back to our guidelines because a lot of times, we just happen to overlook these policies that are in place. But thank you, Donna, for sharing the information as far as the guidelines. So, okay. So with that being said, we go down to audit committee. So we do need to establish the committee with some questions as far as a parent, if it's a Dream Danette parent or if it's any parent that's within the community. But there was a question by Miss Charlotte indicating that it's been a challenge trying to get that parent position filled because the individual has to have a background in financing. So I know that we had that struggle for a year since I served on the, as a Dream Danette governing board. And I think at one time we had someone that was wanting to serve on the committee with a financial background, but it never, it never went followed through so with that being said, I guess that would be a question for the admin head administrator. Could we still just go ahead and establish an audit committee without a parent at this time?
I think that would be up to the governing board if that's what they choose to do.
Okay, thank you. And I know, Charlotte, I did get your message as well. Yeah, I just shared with the group that it is very difficult to get someone in that position that has a financial background. So I did share that. So we do have someone in the queue, Danielia.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I was just going to say that we probably can just follow the policy. I'm not sure. Maybe somewhere else in the policy it's more clear, Donna? Or when was that policy last revised?
The governing council bylaws haven't been revised in a while. So yeah, we will want to, I believe you can still establish the committee and then continue to look for that, get that parent. It's, you'll want to, where are we? Finance audit committee. Yeah, it looks like it should be appointed from a list of parents who are willing to volunteer. So that could probably be something that could be brought up to the PAC also. If we have parents, have parents that are interested and do have that financial background. And that's something you would want to be really clear about when you are seeking volunteers. But they would be appointed, so we don't have to vote them in, but we can get our committee established.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for those questions and the comments. So at this time, we'll go ahead and proceed with establishing the audit committee. So we do have a treasurer, our treasurer, yes, our treasurer that has been appointed or that has been nominated and voted in. So, and then with, I believe it was the board president as well, and then the business manager and the principal as well. So with that being said, do I hear a motion from the floor from the governing board members for establishing the audit committee?
This is Danielia. I'll make that motion to establish the audit committee.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Allen, do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Fernandez. So with that, do we have any questions or comments in reference to our audit committee? If none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Mrs. Fernandez, would you go ahead and call for the vote?
Mrs. So, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes in favor.
Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
This is Danelia. I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez is in favor. Virginia Kirk, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
And Talaba Begay, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
With 4, 0 against and 0 opposed, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Aro Hiahat board members, for your support in establishing the Finance and Audit Committee. Though I just wanted to also mention to Ms. Kirk, since you're our treasurer for Dream Diné, you'll be the chairperson to these committees. So, based on the guidelines that was shared with us. So, 8A with that. So, we do have one in the queue. A question, Nadine?
Not a question. I just wanted to update everyone too that I am now the CPO. I have my certification. I'm now the Chief Procurement Officer for Dream Diné Charter School. Thank you. So I will be on your meetings, all of them. Thank you.
Okay. Hiahat, thank you for the update. Aro ani with that. Just like we had talked about establishing these committees, it's really a challenge to find individuals with a finance background. So, but that's good, good information, and thank you for the update. So with that, we go down to item number 4 or number 3. That would be number 4. Facilities Committee, and I'm not too sure if Troy is on the call. I don't think he's on the call, but I'll go ahead and give the floor to the head administrator, Miss Nadine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the facilities portion, hold on a minute. So we have one more thing that we need to do, and we're getting an architect to do a survey for us. We found out that the survey that was done many, many years ago has to be updated. So now we're looking for an individual. His name is Mr. Thomas. He's going to be working with us to try to get the survey done. And then we have to get the name change on the area. I guess the name that they have currently is not the correct name. We have to get a new nameplate. So that's what's happening at this point. Then we have to go through the 164 process, and you all know how that goes. We also have to meet with the Public Charter Division, the PSFA, Facilities Management, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the preventative maintenance plan. So all schools are involved. Mr. Hunt went to a couple of the meetings with the Public Charter Division, and then with the regular Public Education Department to look at outlay possibilities, capital outlay possibilities. But one of the things that we have to have in place is a preventive maintenance plan. So we're going to be asking the board to get together to work on that. And hopefully we should be on our way to moving to the next area for our new school. That's all I have for that. Thank you. And also, if you have questions, Mr. Hunt is available to answer those questions. Just email me your questions and then I can forward it on to him and he can answer. Thank you.
Okay, Hiahat, thank you, Ms. Chado, for the report. Are there any questions from the board? Yes, we do have one. Ms. Donna?
Ms. Chado, is there a way to get that report in any way in writing? I have this recorded, and then the architect, is there a company that they are with? So the architect is, you said Thomas, but what's the company name?
It's under Navajo Nation. We don't have a company that we're going to be working with. It's with
Thomas is from the Navajo Nation architect.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
And what was your first question again? I'm sorry.
You gave us a good report, and I guess it's recorded. Never mind. I don't need it. I was going to ask for it in writing, but it'll be in recorded.
All right. Thank you.
I have a question, Virginia.
Go ahead.
So the architect is licensed to do surveying? Is that what he's doing? Or
That would be a question that you can ask Mr. Hunt. Don't have the answer to that. Thank you.
okay. So who found Mr. Thomas? Like, is that from the Navajo Nation? They recommended him?
I don't have the answer to that question. You're going to have to ask
Okay.
Mr. Hunt.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nadine. I know that there are some questions that are being asked of the facilities committee. So I think if we could ask Mr. Hunt to be part of our meeting next month, so some of these questions that are being asked can be asked of him. So thank you. All right. If there's no other questions for Miss Nadine in reference to the facilities, we'll go ahead and move forward to the last item. It'd be number 5, Policy Committee, and that would be Miss Donna.
At this time, I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ms. Donna. And just for just some information on the policy committee, do you meet quarterly or do you meet monthly?
This is, I'm trying to just, I don't think this is a standing committee. I'll have to look to see if this is a standing committee or a committee within there. And we would probably just need to meet quarterly but I'll look at the bylaws right now.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great just because, we do have Talaba. She's, I think this is her second month or 3 months sitting on the board. And then if we have that possible new board member, we would need to know that as well.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's a standing committee. So this is not a regular one that's listed in the governing council. So yeah, we would just need to meet quarterly. And thank you for that recommendation. Yes, I will look at contacting Talaba. That would be a great person to have on to meet with.
Okay. Hakushi. All right. Well, thank you. If there's no other board members that has a question or comment to the policy committee. So we move on. Letter A, the governing council upcoming training opportunities. We as new board members, we are expected to have 5 hours of continued board member board development or professional development training. So there is a website you can click on, and it has a schedule throughout the year as what's being presented out there and what sessions are available. And I believe Melissa Brown with the charter school does provide an update on each of the board members to see where they're at with their training hours. So, but if you have any questions, you can reach out to her as well. And her name is Melissa Brown. Do you have anything else, Nadine, for that?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, we move forward to number 5, Parent Advisory Committee. We don't have anyone on the call from the Parent Advisory Committee.
Madam Chair. Oh,
go ahead.
At this time, we don't have anybody on the Parent Advisory Committee. And I believe we just need to figure out what our bylaws are. So I guess that was put back on the former PAC committee members. We'll just wait until that comes through. We could also bring that back to the parents during a meeting. I believe, Madam Chair, you had said you would try to be there for that as well. The second Tuesday of the month, we can do it during that time. We have a couple of potential members who would like to step up to be the president, vice president. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Head Administrator Ms. Nadine, for the update. I just have one question, and I don't know if Charlotte's still on the call, but is there a budget allocation that we could look into, or even apply for a grant for a parent advisory committee to where they can receive stipend? That would be a question, I guess, for both Nadine and Charlotte. And then after you all answered, then I have a question in the queue by Danelia. So either Nadine or Charlotte, if you could answer that.
I believe Charlotte mentioned in the chat that she does not have any idea about that, not to her knowledge, but I would probably try to reach out to our grant plant and ask them if that is possible. As long as the parent advisory committee is not a board member, I believe it's feasible. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So next in queue is Danelia. Miss Allen, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I apologize. Sorry, I thought I was talking to myself. But yes, I was just going off of what Nadine said. Yes, you cannot get a stipend if you are a governing board president. We learned that the hard way, and I believe I probably caused an audit because of that as a former facility worker. So yeah, I think that would not work very well, just because we're requesting the PAC member to probably also become a board member. So that would kind of cause an issue with getting a stipend.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We are not allowed to talk about the audit, so we'll go ahead and proceed. So that was just a question that I had for the Parent Advisory Committee, but thank you for the feedback and for your comment. So with that being said, we have no action item under Parent Advisory Committee, just discussion only on the next step for the PAC committee. So with that, we move forward to the grievance review committee. Miss Donna, I know that we had talked about this from our last meeting, and I was not quite understanding the meeting minutes. It was a little confusing. So if you could share the grievance review committee protocol, Miss Donna.
Okay, so the grievance committee was established as a standing committee based off of the receiving a grievance. And so last month during our minutes, we established, and I'm going through it right now. Looking at where we established a grievance committee. Okay, there we go. It says the grievance committee needs to be established. President is the committee. Danelia asked if Virginia Kirk could be in the committee. Virginia agreed. Danelia Allen is now on the committee. The president will decide on a certain date, specific time period and purpose, and bring recommendation to the board. So our committee is currently Miss Allen and Mrs. Kirk. and they are to bring a recommendation to the committee.
Okay, thank you, Miss Donna. But I have a concern about the grievance review committee. And I'm not too sure what it says in our bylaws, guidelines, protocols, but anytime we establish a committee, and if we only have 5 board members, we should only have 2 board members. So that's number one. I know that. But if there is a grievance committee, and if it's in reference to a parent, a child, or a staff, I feel that it's very important that all the board members be a part of that grievance committee. There could be a possible conflict as well. We need, and it's usually the nature of the grievance as well. So I feel that if it's personnel, if it's like I said, if it's a child, a parent, or a community member, I feel that the entire board should be part of that grievance committee.
This is, just to clarify, it was established from the standing committee. Let me share that with you guys. So that's where this committee was established, and it was a personnel matter. So that's why it was elevated to the governing council. So let me pull this up and share this. Okay. So this is going to come from standing committee, and let me pull this up. Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on, guys. I am having trouble finding where this is to move this around now. Minutes, agenda. That's that. That's that.
If you go way off to your right on your screen, you'll see that little light gray. You just
Okay.
need to put it up. Okay, there you go.
Okay. Okay, so this is going to be under committees, establishment. Okay, section 1, the governing council may appoint such standing committees and or ad hoc committees as it deems necessary for the effective governing of the school. Members of each committee may be chosen from the time to time by the governing council and shall serve for such period time as the governing council shall determine. Then it just says the specific composition of the finance and audit committees are located in section 2. So the standing committee shall have the charge to its permitted activities, and such charges shall be incorporated into the school policy manual. The function of any committee is to establish shall be the fact-finding, deliberative, and advisory to the governing council. They don't have any authority to take legislative or administrative action, nor to adopt policies for the school. The business manager to be an ex officio member of the Finance and Audit Committee. Standing committees shall be made up of no more than one less than a quorum. And with 5 members, 3 is a quorum, so it would be only 2 members. The governing council president shall be an ex officio member of each committee. The principal shall be an ex officio member of each standing committee, except where his or her evaluation, tenure, or salary are to be deliberated. So that's where the standing committee to do a grievance was established. That's the authority under which we established that. And in the policy of the handbook, if there was a grievance, personnel grievance that needed to be addressed by the governing council, it said it was to be done through a committee.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you, Miss Donna, for sharing that information. I do have an individual that's in the queue, Miss Nadine.
Yes, I'm looking back at the standing committee. It says that, again, each standing committee shall have a charge specific to its permitted activities, and such charges shall be incorporated into the school policy manual. So my question is, if this is a standing committee and it's not in the school policy at this time, should it be? And what's the process in that? I mean, they're going to look at our school policy and say, where did the grievance committee come from? And why isn't it in the bylaws? So is there a process, and should we get that started? I know when you do a standing committee, there's certain verbiage that has to go with it. So are you guys looking more at establishing one, putting it in the school policy and putting it in the bylaws? Because if that's the case, then there has to be a process.
I think this was already established in the school handbook. So the school handbook states that there will be a grievance committee if the grievance does need to be heard by the governing council.
I believe it's a grievance policy.
I go to, we can probably bring that up. It was in the
Can you
handbook.
share that?
Yeah, let me find that. You guys are gonna have to give me a minute. The handbook. Okay, one moment. Okay, let me share this. Start sharing there. And go here. Okay, so this is coming from the employee handbook. And it says employee grievance procedures. So under any personnel decision made by the governing council, including but not limited to situations without authority and okay, remedy. Or the governing council. Let me see where this came from. And let me go here. So grievance procedures. In level 3, if the grievant is okay, procedures for a hearing.
Oh, composed of.
Yeah, so we got a grievance policy right here. The grievance committee composed of 3 persons of the governing board will appoint the members. The committee will select its chairperson prior to the proceeding of the grievance. And the grievance committee, it says, if this is a level 3 Dream Dene governing board, if the grievant is not satisfied with the resolution at level 2, or if the head administrator fails to issue a proposed resolution, and it says, the grievant may be written consent to the head administrator. Okay, and then it says, it's sole discretion. The grievance committee at its sole option, the Dream Dene Governing Council may appoint a grievance committee to hear the grievance, or the full board may hear the grievance. And then there is a procedure right there for establishing the governing board, the grievance board already. Now this one says 3 people.
Okay. Thank you, Donna. There is a hand in the queue, Nadine.
Madam Chair, this I see what you're talking about the 3 members, and then in their bylaws it says 2 members, and then it says grievance committee can be formed in employee policy, and then it doesn't even say that in your bylaws. So there's a misconnect here. It isn't aligned in any way. And I can see others coming back and saying, well, if it's here, then why isn't it here? So maybe that's something that you guys need to work on or try to get established.
Okay, thank you for the recommendation. Donna, if you could just kind of scroll up to page 36. Okay. First of all, I know that last month there was on the agenda, there was a request to establish a grievance review committee, and we did place that and we did establish that. However, we really didn't go to our policy as far as what the process is. So as indicated by Ms. Chado, they're not aligned correctly. So it really falls back on the governing board. And I do know that grievances are, it is a timeline request. And I'm not too sure if last month, if there was a request that was submitted, and that was the reason why the grievance review committee was put on the agenda. So on our part as governing board members, we missed the cue on timeline. If you look at your policy, it says that you have within 30 days. The other question I have is, there was some, I'm not too sure if it's in the policy and I need to read it myself, but if an individual resigns or leaves the school, or the parent is no longer part of our school, or the student is withdrawing from the school, I'm not too sure what is the protocols for that. So those are some questions that I guess we need to address, and as indicated that we need to align our guidelines according to our bylaws. So we do know that we should have 3 governing board members on that. But in my position as I guess as a board member and as a community member and as a parent, I would think that all the board members should be included, just because it is something that is going to come back out in the community to say, well, why weren't you not aware of this? Things like that. But we do have some work to do as far as revisiting our policies, revisiting our guidelines and our handbook. And we also need to get an opinion back from the school attorney as well, because this is a very critical area where we all need to abide by what we have in place. So I just wanted to share that. We're open to any recommendations, and there was a recommendation made by the head administrator. We have our, I guess our Miss Donna being our, I guess our guide for with our policies, but I think as board members, we really need to visit that and sit down and revisit this and work with the legal counsel to make get the opinions. So I wanted to state that. And I do welcome recommendations and I do welcome comments. Again, we do have other board members that are representing Dream Dine. So at this time, I'd like to open it up for any other comments.
This is Virginia. I'd like to make a comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Kirk.
Yeah, I feel that we really should make this a priority because for what we stand for, this is a school, I do not know what any of the grievances are, but those hold important and they're in both policies, whether they align or not, but they're both in there. And this has to be established because we don't want this to reach another level. It is our job to make sure this is taken care of right away. We can't just be like, let's put it here, let's put it here. We have to make decisions on this because we don't want this to go to another level and another level. And it's, when it could be taken care of right away. So I feel that we should take care of this right away, be priority. I mean, that's important to hear these. And it should be recorded. I don't know what it is, but it should be. I mean, they took the time out to fill out these to make us aware of this situation. That's it.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Ms. Kirk. For your comment and recommendation. Do I hear any other recommendation?
This is Danelia. I also feel like these grievances or complaints or whatever, comes across us as a board, as an administrator, as a school, they need to be taken seriously. It's something that can't be taken lightly. I know that a lot of what I heard during reauthorization was that the charter school is on, or Dream Dine is on us as governing board members. And I feel like the urgency should not be taken lightly. We should, regardless, just like Virginia said, it's in the policy. We might be a number off, we might be a number on, it's good. I think your recommendation, Madam Chair, to have all the members included is a very good recommendation. I just feel like it's just something that should not be taken lightly. We learn. I think we learn from mistakes and we learn from growing together, helping each other, getting over obstacles, just things as a team, that's what it takes. And sometimes reevaluating ourselves is good. And that's the reason I probably sound like a broken record sometimes. I'm constantly asking Donna, well, when was that last revised? When did we last look at that? Because a lot of these policies, I can tell you now, were never revised, even when we got on, or when I got on 2-3 years ago. Some of these don't even have dates on them at all. And that doesn't look good on us as a governing board, council. And I could see, how the discrepancy will come in. And just like Ms. Chato said, it is one saying one thing and one saying, and nothing's aligning. But still, that's something that we can't, as board members, we can't take these things lightly, any of it. Our policies being off, our policies not being updated, grievances, complaints, whatever, not being heard. We can't take these things lightly. So that's just kind of how I'm feeling, and what, as a board member, that's just how I see it, or a governing council member. That's just how I see it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment and recommendation, Miss Ellen. So we'll go ahead, and I do have another individual in the queue, Miss Nadine.
Madam Chair, the I understand what everybody's saying. The bylaws, honestly, the policy from the time I started working here in 2022 have never been updated. I don't even think we've looked at them. We probably looked at them during the work sessions, and then that was it. Nobody took any initiative to try to fix them or to change them. So they've been sitting like this for a very long time. The other thing too is that you cannot do anything without legal counsel. You're setting yourselves up for a legal action. They'll put you on notice immediately, especially when the community finds out that you're not following your bylaws and you're not following your policy. It could put us in a real pickle. We don't have the money. We don't have the funds to support a legal action. So my recommendation is to go back, fix these before it gets out of hand. This is a priority. Everybody should be taking this seriously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chado, for your feedback, your recommendation. We do have another individual in the queue, Andrea.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a quick question for Donna. The Dream Dene Employee Handbook, what was the approved by Governing Council on the date for that you're looking at?
Is the 22-23.
22-23?
Yes.
What was the date that it was approved?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, it doesn't have it at the bottom, so it was
Let
never.
Let me pull it up.
approved?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's my question.
But-
Thank you.
Yep. Mhm. I just went to the bottom. There's no record of approval of it. It'll probably be in the minutes. And we could do some research on that.
Okay, thank you, Andrea, for your question. Thank you, Miss Donna, for the feedback. And I'm not too sure if Talaba has a comment or any recommendation. Okay. How gushy. All right. Yeah. Okay. With that being said, I think this is the most critical part of a governing board of an organization, is to really establish, other than the budget wise, but establishing a grievance review committee. And I guess that's something that I always thought to myself that was probably something that our little small school would never encounter, but it does happen. So with that being said, that we do need to make ourselves available as governing board members to review our bylaws and policies, not just relating to the grievance review committee, but other committees as well, and to really get familiar with our policies, because as indicated, we are the governing board members of Dream Dene, and people in the community, our parents and our students, look up to us as professionals and making very good decisions for the organization and for students. So with the recommendations that were made and that were shared, we do need to get this meeting schedule here in a week or two, and making sure that we do meet to get and review our policies. And it might not even take, it's going to take probably a week, but we can start as far as really looking at aligning the grievance review committee. Again, like I said, we have missed dates, we missed timelines, and which are very critical. And as Ms. Nadine alluded to, is that we need to work with our attorney, our school attorney. They're there to help us and guide us as far as how we need to proceed. So with that being said, at the end of the meeting, we will schedule a day here in a week or two to schedule a meeting to go over the grievance review committee. And then also to look at the policies and go from there. So I'll be working with Nadine as far as reaching out to the school attorney as well to see when their availability is so we can move forward on this. So again, I just feel like, and I believe, I think it was Danielia that had mentioned that it should be all the board members in place. And we can also change the grievance committee to add the entire members of the governing board. So we can change that policy as well. So, ideyawad aban so case, ado anong kaalshine pa date in the so ado nke madon kije ado nke masana don ke chelto ishe without Duncan. So I just wanted to share that with you all. And like I said, before we adjourn the meeting, under item 9, we have the next governing council meeting, but we'll we'll indicate a work session and possibly a special meeting as well. So, and I know that it's very difficult to get us all together on a certain day, just because we all have family, we all have different work schedules, and we all have children that are involved in sports. So, but we just need to make the effort to really commit ourselves to at least go over this particular area that we need assistance in. So, Ade, I guess we have someone in the queue. Mr. Morris?
Yes, good evening, school board members. I just kind of wanted to get on really quick if I could. And if those of you who are calling in, if you want to get with me, send me an email. But I'd like to see if I can get everyone virtually involved, whether it's Zoom or Google Meets. I like to try to troubleshoot your connections to see what hinders or what keeps you guys from getting on the video conference so that you can use your cameras, you can be interactive. I did reach out to Charlotte to see if I could help her in the troubleshooting of her microphone. I will work with her on that, but hopefully I like to get it to a point where we're all able to see each other and interact with one another. So if you guys could kindly send me an email, situate a time throughout the day, we can get on a remote access or some type of communication, so that I want to know what is it that's keeping everyone from getting on the Google Meets or the Zoom, because I think it's more productive, and it's just all out. It just makes communication a whole lot better. And this is kind of my job to try to figure out, what's keeping the connections from actually happening. So I just kind of want to say that hopefully we can improve on these technologies and these methods. That's all. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I know that we have someone in the queue, but thank you, Mr. Morris, for your expertise and your offer to assist us with our with technology. And I know it's an ongoing issue. I know some of us are on the reservation, but I do make it an effort to go to where I have some reception area. And if I need to, I have to turn off my video to get better reception. But thank you again, Ado, board members. He did offer the assistance, so Bindai kid, let him work so he can help us. So but Daniela, you are in the queue, so go ahead with your question.
Yes, I'm just wondering, back to policies, is there something in the policy that states we do have to have our cameras on? Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Allen. I know that was mentioned here 2 months ago. It was brought up by the admin team indicating that the meetings are going to be recorded, and I guess we have to have our video on. I guess for I'm not too sure, but maybe Nadine can allude to this. Nadine?
Back in May, when we went through our process for reauthorization, it was mentioned at the meeting that we should, for best practices, to be online, and when we are online, to have our cameras on so we can see each other, especially during executive session. Everybody should have their cameras on because executive session is supposed to be very confidential. So it was recommended by the Public Charter Division, and I can probably get some evidence back from the Public Charter Division. Again, it is best practices. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. I recall, I don't remember which meeting it was, but that was mentioned. But I do know that I believe the head admin is going to be chiming in into some of our meetings. So I'm not too sure which meeting, but anyways, a day with that. So I know it's really hard. I live out in a rural community too, so it's pretty hard to get good reception. But we'll put Lander to work. So okay. With that being said,
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Chado, go ahead.
Also, too, that I am here on campus, and I think I mentioned it before that I will be here during our board meetings just to stay on campus. And if anybody needs internet services, I can open up one of the buildings and we can come back to that again. A couple of parents have asked to come to the school to use the internet and during our board meetings, and I opened it up for them, and I'm here by myself, or Andrea's here too. So we're both taking that initiative to be here on campus. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that offer. So just keep that in mind, board members and staff, if you feel that you need to be there at the school, we'll be there. And then, so with that, we'll go ahead and move on. F, executive session. The governing council may, if necessary, enter into executive session limited to discussions regarding personnel. No action will be taken in the executive session in accordance with the New Mexico School Association 1978 Section 10-15-1, parentheses H and parentheses 2. So at this time, I do not have anything, any personnel or any concerns or any requests to go in executive session. So with that, we have someone in the queue. Miss Fernandez?
Yeah, I believe we were at our last executive session needed to finish up personnel matters.
Okay. Okay, so there is a recommendation to go into executive session in regards to personnel matter. So with that recommendation, I do need a motion to go in executive session.
I'll make a motion to move the governing council into executive session in accordance with the policies.
Okay, thank you. There is a motion by Mrs. Fernandez. Do I hear a second?
This is Danelia. I'll second that motion to go into executive session.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allen. We're seconding that. So with that, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. Mrs. Fernandez to go in executive session.
Oh, sorry, take me off mute. Mrs. O, how do you vote?
Mrs. So votes in favor.
Mrs. Allen, how do you vote?
This is Danelia. I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez, I'm in favor. Virginia Kirk, how do you vote?
Virginia, I'm in favor.
And Talaba Begay, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
With 5 for, 0 against, and 0 opposed, the motion is carried.
Okay, thank you. So we are so in executive session. Is there anyone else other than the governing board members that you would like to have present? Ms. Fernandez?
Not at this moment, but we could bring that up at the executive session.
Okay, thank you. So we ask that everyone that is not part of the governing board, being a governing board member, if you could make your exit.
Oh, we could last time we just went to a breakout room.
Okay,
That
I
way
was just
the unit gets closed down. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
So
let me see if I can set up a breakout room in Google Meet. So let me figure that out here in a minute. So if you can give me a second.
Okay.
Because we're on Meets now and not on Zoom.
Right.
And
the only problem, Mr. Morris, is we have Virginia that called in. So would it be better if we just stay on here and because she has to call in with a different number, right? If we go out into breakout session.
Believes.
I'm home now and I can switch. It's Virginia. I'm home now. I can switch.
Lander, click on the little triangle, square, and circle at the bottom right, and it says breakout rooms.
Oh, and I apologize. Our executive session, we go into executive session as soon as Lander gets off, then we'll clock into time.
Okay, great.
And does it have to we're not recording it, right?
Right, we stop recording.
I wonder how Virginia is going to do it. She's on a phone call. I didn't think about that.
I don't know how she went the other way though.
Oh, there
she's
she
right
is.
Oh,
There
she came back. Okay.
Okay, we need a motion to get back in regular session.
This is Danelia. I'll go ahead and make that motion to get back into our regular governing council meeting.
And that's at 10:15. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. With that, Mrs. Fernandez, could you call for the votes? You're on mute.
You're on mute.
Veronica, so how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
In favor.
Donna Fernandez, I vote in favor. Virginia Kirk, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
And Talababa Gay, how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
Okay, with 5, 4, 0 opposed, 0 abstain, we motion carries to come out of executive session.
Okay, thank you. And we are back in our regular session at 10:15. With that, go back to your agenda. Under G, Head Administrator Principals Reports, we're going to move forward. And since we've already received a written document with all the information that's stated. So going down to number 8, closing comments. Do we have anyone to share a closing comment? I guess I can just share a closing comment here. I thank each of the board members and then also our staff and our visitors that were on the call. We had to discuss a lot of, we had made a lot of recommendations, and I feel like we're moving forward, really aligning our vision and mission statement. So keep up the good work, board members and staff members, whoever's on the call. But we'll go ahead and go down to number 9, next governing council meeting. So our next governing council meeting will be on the 25th of November, and that's the 4th Monday. November 25th is on a Monday, and that would be at 6 o'clock. And then we also have a strategic planning meeting that we'd like to propose for and that we are going to schedule, and that will be on November 4th, which is on a Monday, and that will begin at 6 o'clock as well. And a discussion on the grievance review committee, and then also question for on a potential governing board member. So with that, we go down to number 10. Board members, what is the pleasure? Do I hear an adjournment?
Adjourn.
Thank you, Mrs. Fernandez, for motioning to adjourn at 10:18. Do I hear a second?
Virginia,
I'll
I
second.
Okay, who is that?
Oh,
Was it-
Virginia?
Okay, thank you, Virginia, for seconding that motion. If there's no comment or questions to the adjournment, then Mrs. Fernandez, if you could call for the vote.
Veronica, so how do you vote?
I vote in favor.
Danelia Allen, how do you vote?
I'm in favor.
Donna Fernandez is in favor. Virginia Kirk, how do you vote?
In favor?
And Talababa Gay, how do you vote?
In favor.
Great. We are adjourned.
Okay, thank you, Miss Donna, and then thank you, Mr. Morris, for being patient with us, and then thank you, board members, for your presence here at our meeting today. With that, good night, safe travels, and we will see you on Monday at 6 o'clock.
All righty. Thank